The 1960s was a golden age for American cars, but not every vehicle of the decade was a success. While some became iconic symbols of the era, others flopped due to poor engineering, uninspired design, or outright baffling decisions. Here are the 12 worst and stupidest American cars of the 1960s, remembered for their failures and missteps.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 12. The 1964 Mercury Park Lane was Mercury's attempt to offer a luxurious, high-end vehicle to compete with other full-size cars in the American market. Positioned as a premium model, it was intended to showcase Mercury's best blend of comfort and style. However, despite these ambitions, the car fell short in several areas, making it a less appealing choice in its class. The 1964 Mercury Park Lane was the flagship model in Mercury's lineup, aimed at buyers seeking a full-size luxury vehicle. It featured extensive chrome, plush interiors, and was offered in various body styles, including a hardtop, convertible, and sedan. However, the car's performance and design were far from revolutionary, and it struggled to live up to the luxury image it tried to project. The Park Lane was an enormous car, which made it feel more like a boat than a nimble luxury vehicle. While large cars were common in the 1960s, the Park Lane's size contributed to its sluggish handling and made it difficult to maneuver in tight spaces. Its bulk made driving it an exercise in managing its weight, especially during cornering or parking. The sheer size of the car, combined with its soft suspension, resulted in a sloppy ride. Body roll was significant, and the Park Lane felt less composed on the road compared to some of its competitors. This detracted from the sense of luxury that buyers expected, as the car lacked the refined handling of other high-end models. Despite being equipped with a 390 cubic inch V8 engine, the base engine's output of around 250 horsepower was not enough to make the Park Lane feel lively or responsive. The car's large size and weight bogged down its performance, making acceleration slow and uninspiring, while higher trims and optional engines, like the more powerful Marauder 427 cubic inch V8, offered better performance. The standard engine left much to be desired. In a luxury market where smooth yet powerful driving was a key selling point, the Park Lane's sluggishness hurt its appeal. The design of the 1964 Mercury Park Lane was fairly conservative, featuring lots of chrome and traditional lines, but it lacked the modern, sleek look that was becoming popular in the mid-1960s. While other manufacturers were pushing the boundaries of automotive design with more aerodynamic and exciting shapes, the Park Lane's design felt old-fashioned and uninspired. The excessive use of chrome on the exterior gave the car a flashy but somewhat gaudy appearance. Instead of exuding refined luxury, the Park Lane's design came off as overly ornate, making it seem more outdated than sophisticated. The Park Lane's interior was comfortable, but it didn't feel as premium as its competitors. While the car had ample space, the materials used inside were not particularly impressive for a vehicle positioned as a luxury model. The seats were plush, but the overall interior design and build quality felt more mid-range than high-end. Despite its aim to be a luxury cruiser, the Park Lane's ride was not as smooth or refined as one would expect. The suspension, while soft, resulted in a floaty ride that lacked the sophistication found in cars like the Lincoln Continental or even higher-end models from Cadillac. It felt more like a large car trying to imitate luxury than a true high-end experience. The 1960s was a golden era for American luxury cars, with several manufacturers offering bold, innovative designs. The Mercury Park Lane struggled to stand out against models like the Cadillac DeVille, Lincoln Continental, and Chrysler New Yorker, all of which offered better performance, more stylish designs, and a stronger sense of luxury. Mercury, as a brand, often found itself sandwiched between Ford and Lincoln, struggling to carve out its own identity. The Park Lane's attempt at being a high-end car suffered from this brand positioning issue, where it never quite reached the prestige of Lincoln, but also wasn't as affordable or practical as a Ford. The Park Lane was a large car, and its interior was incredibly roomy, making it comfortable for passengers, especially on long trips. On the open road, the car's soft suspension and large size made for a smooth and quiet highway experience, even if it lacked precision and responsiveness. The 1964 Mercury Park Lane was a car that aimed for luxury but missed the mark in several key areas. Its large-size, underpowered engine and outdated styling made it feel more cumbersome than luxurious, and it failed to compete with the more refined and powerful luxury models of its time. Number 11. The 1967 Buick Skylark base model was a mid-size car that aimed to provide a reliable and affordable option for everyday driving, but it struggled to make a significant impact due to its underwhelming performance and lackluster design. While the Skylark line had some success with its more powerful Grand Sport GS models, the base model left much to be desired. The base model Skylark lacked the flair and bold design elements that defined other cars from the late 1960s. While Buick aimed to give the Skylark a more refined, conservative look compared to its competitors, this approach made the base model feel bland and forgettable. It had a clean, straightforward appearance, but it didn't stand out in a market filled with cars that embraced more aggressive, eye-catching styling. During a time when muscle cars and more daring designs were becoming popular, the base Skylark appeared restrained. Competitors like the Pontiac GTO and Chevrolet Chevelle SS had more dynamic, aggressive styling that appealed to car buyers of the era, leaving the Skylark base model looking stale by comparison. The base Skylark came with a 225 cubic inch V6 engine that produced around 155 horsepower. This was underpowered compared to the V8s offered in more exciting versions of the Skylark and competing models. The base engine's output made the Skylark feel slow and unresponsive, especially when accelerating or driving on highways. While the Skylark was meant to offer a comfortable ride, it didn't provide the thrill or excitement that many drivers were looking for in a mid-size car from this era. The sluggish acceleration and lack of power made it feel more like a practical family car than a sporty or spirited vehicle, which wasn't enough to draw in performance-minded buyers. Buick's own Grand Sport GS versions of the Skylark, which came with powerful V8 engines and performance enhancements, made the base model look even less appealing. The GS models offered a far more exciting driving experience, making the base Skylark seem like an afterthought in the lineup. The interior of the base Skylark was functional, but lacked the refinement and modern amenities that buyers might expect in a midsize car. The materials used were of decent quality, but nothing particularly luxurious or special, and the overall layout felt dated. For a midsize car, the Skylark didn't offer much in the way of interior space, especially in the rear seats. It was functional for short trips or city driving, but not particularly comfortable for long-distance travel or larger families. The late 1960s was a competitive time for American midsize cars, with models like the Chevrolet Chevelle, Pontiac Tempest, and Ford Fairlane offering more power, better styling, or more features at comparable prices. The base model Skylark struggled to find its place in such a crowded market, where buyers were looking for more excitement and better performance. Despite the muscle car boom of the era, the base Skylark didn't participate in that trend. With its underpowered engine and conservative design, it didn't appeal to enthusiasts who were looking for high-performance cars. Buick's higher performance models were left to carry the Skylark name in that space, leaving the base model in the shadows. The base model Skylark was simply too ordinary to make a lasting impression. While it was reliable and offered a comfortable ride, it didn't have any standout features or personality that made it memorable. This lack of character meant that it was often overlooked by buyers in favor of more exciting alternatives. Buick's attempt to balance luxury and performance often left the Skylark base model in an awkward position. It wasn't luxurious enough to compete with more upscale cars, and it wasn't sporty enough to compete with the muscle cars of the time. As a result, it didn't strongly appeal to either segment of the market. Like many Buicks of the era, the Skylark offered a comfortable and smooth ride, which was a plus for daily driving. Buick was known for building reliable cars, and the Skylark base model followed suit. It wasn't exciting, but it got the job done without major mechanical issues. The 1967 Buick Skylark base model is often remembered as a more pedestrian entry in Buick's lineup. While it had some success in offering a comfortable, reliable car, it was overshadowed by its own more exciting GS models and failed to make a significant impact in the highly competitive midsize car market. The 1967 Buick Skylark, base model, may have been practical and reliable, but it failed to generate much excitement or interest in an era where performance and style were becoming increasingly important. Its bland design and underpowered engine made it a forgettable option compared to the more dynamic offerings from both Buick and its competitors. Number 10. The 1968 AMC Ambassador was American Motors Corporation's attempt to position itself in the full-size luxury car market. While AMC had success with compact and mid-size cars, their venture into the full-size luxury segment with the Ambassador faced several challenges. Despite being the company's flagship model, the Ambassador struggled to compete with offerings from more established brands like Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler. AMC had a reputation for cutting costs, and this approach was evident in the construction of the 1968 Ambassador. The materials used in the interior, such as plastics and vinyl, felt cheap compared to the more premium materials found in competitors' full-size luxury cars. This gave the car a budget feel, which was in stark contrast to the luxurious image AMC was trying to project. Many owners reported problems with the car's build quality, such as loose trim, rattling noises, and poorly fitted panels. These quality control issues further detracted from the Ambassador's appeal as a premium vehicle and made it feel less refined than it should have for its price point. The base engine for the 1968 Ambassador was a 232 cubic inch inline-six, which produced around 145 horsepower, underpowered for a full-size car. While optional V8 engines, such as the 290 or 343 cubic inch V8s were available, even the top-tier 343 V8 with 280 horsepower didn't stand out in a segment where bigger, more powerful engines were the norm. Given the Ambassador's size, the available engines often struggled to provide adequate acceleration. The car felt sluggish off the line and lacked the power needed to offer a smooth, responsive driving experience, especially when compared to competitors with larger V8s. The car's suspension, designed for comfort, sacrificed handling and responsiveness. On winding roads or during more aggressive driving, the Ambassador felt unstable and heavy, further reinforcing the sense that it was a dated, unrefined design. While the Ambassador wasn't unattractive, its styling was bland and unexciting, especially when compared to more visually dynamic full-size cars of the late 1960s. The boxy shape, conservative lines, and lack of bold design elements made it blend into the background. It didn't have the sleek, forward-thinking look that would attract buyers seeking luxury with style. Unlike competitors that took risks with styling, such as the Chrysler New Yorker or Ford LTD, the Ambassador felt like a middle-of-the-road car that didn't take any chances. This lack of visual appeal meant it was often overlooked by buyers who wanted something more striking or innovative in appearance. The late 1960s was a highly competitive time for American full-size cars. Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler were dominant players in the luxury market, offering well-built, powerful, and stylish cars. The Ambassador simply didn't have the same level of refinement, power, or prestige to attract buyers away from these more established brands. AMC wasn't widely known for luxury vehicles, which put the Ambassador at a disadvantage. Buyers who were looking for a full-size luxury car were more likely to go with brands that had a reputation for high-end offerings, like Cadillac or Lincoln. The Ambassador, coming from a brand known for economy and compact cars, struggled to build credibility in this segment. The Ambassador tried to balance luxury with affordability, but this resulted in an awkward identity crisis. It wasn't luxurious enough to compete with top-tier luxury cars, but it also wasn't as affordable or practical as AMC's smaller cars. This left it in a no-man's land, appealing to neither budget-conscious buyers nor those seeking true luxury. While the Ambassador did offer some luxury features for the time, such as power windows, air conditioning, and a plush interior, these were more typical than groundbreaking. It didn't offer any standout innovations or high-tech features that could make it a true competitor in the luxury segment. Like many full-size cars of the era, the Ambassador offered a large, roomy interior with plenty of legroom and comfort for passengers. On smooth roads, the car provided a cushioned, comfortable ride, which was suitable for long-distance cruising. Compared to its more luxurious competitors, the Ambassador was more affordable, making it an option for buyers who wanted a larger car without paying a premium price. The 1968 AMC Ambassador is largely remembered as an ambitious but flawed attempt by AMC to break into the full-size luxury market. It simply couldn't compete with the well-established players in the segment, and its lack of refinement, performance, and style left it overshadowed by more successful models. While AMC would continue to produce the Ambassador for several more years, it never gained the prestige or market share that the company had hoped for. Number 9, the 1962 Ford Fairlane marked the introduction of Ford's intermediate-size model that would later become a key player in the muscle car era. However, its early versions, particularly the 1962 model, struggled to capture attention due to a combination of uninspiring design, underwhelming engine options, and a general lack of excitement. While it eventually gained popularity, the 1962 model year left much to be desired. The 1962 Fairlane suffered from conservative, boxy styling that was neither bold nor particularly attractive. In a period when cars were beginning to experiment with sleeker lines and more dramatic design elements, the Fairlane felt restrained and outdated. It featured modest chrome trim and simple body lines that lacked the flair of some of its competitors. The design didn't stand out in the marketplace. It was positioned between Ford's full-size Galaxy and compact Falcon, but it didn't inherit the stylish appeal of either. As a result, it came off as a compromise vehicle, lacking a distinct identity. The base 1962 Fairlane came with a 170 cubic inch inline-six engine that produced a modest 101 horsepower, which was insufficient for a car of its size. This left it feeling sluggish and unresponsive, especially compared to competitors offering more powerful V8 engines even in their base models. While the Fairlane did offer an optional 221 cubic inch V8 producing 145 horsepower, this still fell short of providing the kind of performance that was becoming more desirable in the early 1960s. The car lacked the muscle that would later define the Fairlane, and the available engines didn't excite performance-minded buyers. The Fairlane was intended to appeal to families who wanted something between a full-size and a compact car, but this positioning didn't leave room for performance or excitement. It wasn't until later in the decade, when the Fairlane evolved into a platform for powerful engines, that it gained the muscle car credentials it's remembered for today. The 1962 Fairlane was designed as a practical, family-oriented car, but this focus on utility led to a lack of excitement. It didn't offer the fun-to-drive qualities or the stylish appeal that many buyers were beginning to seek as the 1960s progressed. The Fairlane didn't introduce any groundbreaking technology or innovative features to set it apart. It was simply another mid-size car in an increasingly crowded market. Without any distinguishing elements, it failed to generate much enthusiasm among consumers. The Fairlane's intermediate size placed it between Ford's compact Falcon and full-size Galaxy, but this positioning made it feel like a compromise rather than a strong contender in its own right. Buyers who wanted a compact car could opt for the Falcon, while those seeking a full-size car with more power and style could choose the Galaxy. The Fairlane, caught in the middle, struggled to carve out a clear market niche. The Fairlane's role as a middle ground car meant it didn't excel in any particular category. It wasn't as economical as the Falcon, nor as powerful or luxurious as the Galaxy, which left it with an identity crisis during its early years. This lack of focus hindered its initial success and appeal. During the early 1960s, competitors like Chevrolet, Pontiac, and Plymouth were producing more dynamic and appealing models in the midsize category. Cars like the Chevrolet Chevelle and Pontiac Tempest offered better styling, more exciting performance, and a stronger overall package, which made the 1962 Fairlane seem bland by comparison. The Fairlane simply didn't stand out in an increasingly competitive market, with other manufacturers offering more powerful and stylish alternatives. The 1962 Fairlane was often overlooked by buyers seeking something more exciting. Like many Fords of the era, the Fairlane was well-built and reliable. It provided a smooth, comfortable ride and had enough space to be practical for families. Although the 1962 model lacked excitement, it laid the foundation for what the Fairlane would become. As the decade progressed, the Fairlane would evolve into a more performance-oriented car, eventually becoming one of the platforms for Ford's legendary Fairlane Thunderbolt drag racing car and later influencing the creation of the Ford Torino. The 1962 Ford Fairlane was a safe but uninspiring choice in a market that was increasingly demanding more power, style, and excitement. Its dull design, underpowered engines, and lack of standout features made it a forgettable option in the early 1960s, though it set the stage for the Fairlane's later success in the muscle car era. Number 8. The 1963 Oldsmobile Jetfire was a bold and innovative attempt by General Motors to push the envelope of automotive technology, being one of the first production cars to feature a turbocharged engine. However, the car's potential was marred by significant reliability issues and a design that failed to resonate with buyers. The Jetfire was equipped with a 215 cubic inch V8 engine paired with a turbocharger, making it one of the pioneers of turbocharged production cars. The engine produced a respectable 215 horsepower, but the turbo system was overly complex for its time. It used a combination of a turbocharger and a special water methanol injection system branded as turbo rocket fluid, designed to prevent engine knocking pre-detonation. The Jetfire's turbo system was prone to frequent failures. Owners had to regularly refill the turbo rocket fluid to ensure the system functioned correctly. If the fluid was not maintained, which many owners neglected or forgot to do, the engine experienced knocking, performance issues, and eventually turbocharger failure. Over time, many owners experienced engine problems due to the strain the turbocharger put on the engine. The complexity of the system, combined with the lack of familiarity with turbo technology at the time, led to frequent breakdowns. Many dealers ended up removing the turbochargers entirely, converting the engines back to naturally aspirated versions to prevent further issues. The Jetfire was based on the Oldsmobile F85, a compact car by 1960s standards. While not unattractive, the Jetfire's styling was somewhat bland and awkward, lacking the aggressive or sporty look that might have complemented its innovative turbocharged engine. It had simple lines, minimal chrome detailing, and an overall conservative appearance that didn't match the futuristic technology under the hood. The Jetfire lacked the distinctive flair seen in other early 1960s cars, which often featured dramatic fins, bold grills, and sweeping body lines. Instead, it was relatively unremarkable in terms of design, making it easy to overlook. While Oldsmobile tried to market it as a sporty performance car, its styling didn't convey that message effectively. The necessity of maintaining a supply of turbo rocket fluid was a significant downside. Most drivers were unaccustomed to such maintenance requirements, leading to neglect and subsequent mechanical issues. The reliance on this fluid to control engine knock was seen as overly complicated, and the car's performance could degrade rapidly if the system was not properly maintained. Turbocharging was a novel concept in the early 1960s, and the average car buyer didn't fully understand the intricacies of maintaining a turbocharged engine. This lack of knowledge contributed to the Jetfire's mechanical issues, as owners frequently failed to service the system properly. As a result, the car gained a reputation for being unreliable and difficult to maintain. The Jetfire was a highly specialized car, and its advanced technology placed it in a niche market. Buyers who were interested in high-performance cars generally opted for vehicles with larger naturally aspirated engines that were more straightforward to maintain and provided reliable power. The Jetfire's smaller turbocharged engine, while advanced, didn't offer a clear advantage in real-world performance over these simpler, more powerful options. The Jetfire was also priced higher than many of its rivals due to its turbocharged engine, making it less attractive to buyers who weren't necessarily interested in paying a premium for the unproven benefits of turbocharging. At a time when most consumers prioritized reliability and affordability, the Jetfire's higher cost and complicated system didn't justify the added expense. The Oldsmobile F85 and Cutlass models, on which the Jetfire was based, were simpler and more reliable cars with naturally aspirated engines that didn't require the extra maintenance of a turbocharged system. Many buyers found these models to be more appealing, as they offered similar size and performance without the added complexity. The Jetfire's unreliability and lack of consumer interest led to its discontinuation after the 1963 model year. Its brief production run made it a rare car, but it also cemented its reputation as a failed experiment. Most owners who had trouble with the turbo system opted to remove it, further diminishing the Jetfire's legacy. The 1963 Oldsmobile Jetfire is remembered as both a trailblazer and a cautionary tale. It introduced turbocharging to the mass market long before the technology was widely adopted, but its overly complex system and poor reliability caused it to fail commercially. Today, the Jetfire is a curiosity in automotive history, representing an ambitious but flawed attempt to push the boundaries of what was possible in the early 1960s. Number 7. The 1967 Chrysler Newport was part of Chrysler's full-size lineup, positioned as an entry-level luxury car. While it aimed to provide a blend of comfort and luxury at an affordable price, the Newport struggled to stand out in a competitive market and was plagued by several notable shortcomings. The Newport was built on a large, heavy platform, which negatively affected its overall performance. Weighing in at over 4,000 pounds, the car felt bulky and sluggish, especially during acceleration and cornering. Its weight made it difficult to maneuver, contributing to poor handling, particularly on winding roads. The car's large size, combined with its soft suspension, led to excessive body roll and imprecise steering. It wasn't designed for spirited driving, and this lack of precision made it feel disconnected from the road. The Newport was more suited for leisurely highway cruising than dynamic driving, which limited its appeal to younger buyers looking for a more engaging experience. Despite being equipped with a V8 engine, the Newport's performance was underwhelming due to its weight. The base 383 cubic inch V8 engine, while offering around 270 horsepower, struggled to provide the kind of acceleration or speed one might expect from a large American car of the era. The car's heavy frame absorbed much of the engine's power, leaving drivers with a slow, uninspiring driving experience. The Newport's size and weight also made it a gas guzzler, which was a concern even before the oil crises of the 1970s. Its poor fuel efficiency further limited its practicality for long trips or daily commuting. By 1967, the Newport's design felt dated and uninspired. It lacked the bold, aggressive styling that was becoming popular in other American cars of the late 1960s. The flat, boxy lines of the Newport didn't appeal to those looking for a sleek, modern vehicle. It featured a long hood and large grille, but the overall look was too conservative to capture the attention of buyers in a rapidly changing automotive market. Chrysler didn't make significant updates to the Newport's styling for several years, which left it feeling stagnant compared to competitors like Ford and GM, who were offering more modern and exciting designs. The Newport's basic, somewhat plain appearance made it easy to overlook. While marketed as an entry-level luxury car, the interior of the Newport didn't live up to that image. It featured basic materials and a straightforward, no-frills layout that lacked the refinement found in higher-end Chrysler models. The upholstery and dashboard materials felt cheap and didn't provide the sense of luxury that buyers expected, even at a lower price point. The Newport was also short on advanced features for the time. Compared to competitors offering innovations like air conditioning and advanced sound systems, the Newport felt stripped down. Its standard features were adequate, but failed to deliver a premium experience. The Newport was part of a highly competitive segment, and it struggled to distinguish itself from rivals. Other full-size cars like the Chevrolet Impala and Ford Galaxy offered more attractive styling, better performance, and a wider range of features at similar price points. The Newport's lack of innovation made it easy to pass over in favor of more compelling alternatives. Even within Chrysler's own lineup, the Newport didn't stand out. The more luxurious Chrysler 300 and New Yorker models offered better styling, more powerful engines, and more advanced features, making the Newport feel like a compromise. Chrysler prioritized comfort over performance with the Newport, giving it a soft suspension that absorbed road imperfections, but at the cost of handling precision. This resulted in a floaty ride where the car felt disconnected from the road. While this may have been appealing to some drivers looking for a smooth highway cruiser, it wasn't engaging or satisfying for those who wanted a more connected driving experience. The combination of the heavy frame and soft suspension meant that the Newport lacked any real feedback for the driver. It was difficult to feel in control of the car, especially at higher speeds. And this lack of road connection made the driving experience feel dull. Spacious, smooth ride, affordable entry into luxury. Heavy, underpowered, poor handling, outdated styling, and minimal luxury features. The 1967 Chrysler Newport failed to stand out in the full-size luxury market due to its heavy frame, outdated design, and uninspiring performance. While it was comfortable and spacious, it didn't offer enough to attract buyers who wanted more style, power, or advanced features. As a result, it remains a forgettable entry in Chrysler's lineup, overshadowed by both its competitors and more luxurious models within the brand. Number 6. The 1960 Pontiac Ventura was part of Pontiac's full-size lineup, initially intended to be a stylish and upscale variant of the Catalina. Despite its intentions, the Ventura was marred by design and performance issues that kept it from standing out in a highly competitive market. The 1960 Ventura's design was characterized by its bulk and awkward proportions. It featured large, overblown bodywork that lacked the sleekness and refinement of other full-size cars from the same era. Its size gave it a heavy appearance, making the car seem cumbersome rather than graceful. Like many American cars of the time, the Ventura embraced a lot of chrome detailing, but in the Ventura's case, it was overdone. The grille, bumpers, and side moldings were all overly large and flashy, detracting from the overall cohesiveness of the design. The Ventura's styling didn't differentiate it enough from other Pontiac models, especially the Catalina, which shared much of its design language. The differences between the models were subtle, leaving the Ventura feeling redundant and lacking a distinct identity. Its styling failed to capture the eye or imagination of buyers looking for something more refined or unique. While Pontiac offered a range of V8 engines for the Ventura, including a 389 cubic inch V8, the performance was not on par with other full-size cars of the era. The base engines were tuned more for comfort and cruising rather than speed or power, which made the Ventura feel sluggish compared to competitors like the Chevrolet Impala or Ford Galaxy, which offered more exciting performance options. Pontiac was beginning to develop its reputation for performance in the early 1960s, but the Ventura didn't live up to that emerging image. The car's available engines lacked the punch that would later define Pontiac's performance vehicles, such as the GTO. Buyers who were looking for performance found the Ventura underwhelming in both acceleration and handling. The Ventura's large, heavy frame negatively affected its handling. It wasn't designed to be nimble or responsive, and its bulk made it difficult to maneuver, especially in tight spaces or at higher speeds. This resulted in a car that was more comfortable on long, straight highways than in city traffic or on winding roads. The car's suspension was tuned for comfort, which resulted in a soft, floaty ride. While this made it comfortable for highway cruising, it also meant that the car felt disconnected from the road. Body roll in corners was excessive, and the steering lacked precision, making the Ventura feel clumsy. The full-size market was packed with strong contenders during the 1960s, and the Ventura was overshadowed by cars that offered better styling, performance, and value. The Chevrolet Impala, for instance, provided a similar size and comfort, but had more appealing design and more potent performance options. Ford's Galaxy also outshone the Ventura with its balance of style and capability. The Ventura was priced similarly to its competitors, but it didn't offer anything that made it stand out. Buyers who were willing to spend a little more could opt for cars with better performance or more luxurious interiors, leaving the Ventura in an awkward middle ground. By 1960, automotive styling was starting to shift away from the excessive fins and chrome of the 1950s, moving towards cleaner, more streamlined designs. The Ventura, however, still clung to many of the old design cues, making it look dated compared to fresher, more modern offerings. The long, bulky body and overuse of chrome accents felt like a throwback to the previous decade, rather than a forward-looking design. As the 1960s progressed, cars became more aerodynamic, with sleeker lines and a more modern aesthetic. The Ventura didn't evolve quickly enough to keep up with this trend, making it feel outdated almost as soon as it was released. The large size of the Ventura provided a spacious and comfortable interior, with plenty of room for passengers. This made it a good option for families or long road trips. While it lacked handling precision, the Ventura's soft suspension delivered a smooth and comfortable ride, especially on highways. This made it a good cruiser, ideal for buyers who prioritize comfort over performance. Even though the Ventura itself wasn't a standout, it benefited from being part of the Pontiac brand, which was developing a reputation for quality and performance. Spacious, comfortable ride, and part of the reputable Pontiac brand. Weaknesses: heavy, uninspired styling, underwhelming engine options, poor handling, and dated design. The 1960 Pontiac Ventura was overshadowed by both its competitors and other Pontiac models, offering little in the way of distinctiveness or excitement. Its heavy, uninspired design, combined with lackluster performance and outdated styling, kept it from being a memorable or desirable option in the full-size car market of the 1960s. The 1969 Ford Maverick was introduced as a compact, budget-friendly alternative to more expensive models, aimed at competing with foreign imports like the Volkswagen Beetle and Japanese compacts. While it was marketed as an affordable, no-frills car, the Maverick's build quality and performance left much to be desired. Ford cut costs in the Maverick's production by using inexpensive materials in both the interior and exterior. The interior was especially criticized for feeling low quality, with thin plastic dashboard components and cheap vinyl seating. Over time, the interior materials didn't hold up well, leading to premature wear and tear. The Maverick was hastily developed to meet the demand for small, budget-friendly cars, and this rush showed in its build quality. Body panels didn't always fit well, leading to rattles and squeaks, and overall the car felt unfinished compared to its competitors. The base engine in the Maverick was a 170 cubic inch inline-six engine that produced only about 105 horsepower. This engine lacked the power needed to make the car feel lively or responsive, especially on the highway. It was slow to accelerate and struggled with hills or heavy loads, making it feel sluggish and underwhelming for drivers. While a larger 200 cubic inch inline-six engine was available as an option, it only slightly improved the performance and didn't make the Maverick competitive with other compact cars that offered more powerful or more efficient engine choices. Even the later V8 option, introduced in the 1970s, didn't make a big enough impact to change the car's reputation. The Maverick's design was simple, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing for a budget car, but it lacked any real personality or flair. The exterior design was bland and boxy, without any of the innovation seen in other cars at the time. Ford aimed for a minimalist approach, but the end result was a car that failed to stand out on the road. Many of the Maverick's competitors offered buyers more options for personalizing their cars, but the Maverick was fairly limited in terms of available features and trim levels. Buyers couldn't do much to make the car feel unique or suited to their preferences, which detracted from its appeal. One of the Maverick's biggest challenges was competing against foreign imports, particularly from Volkswagen and Japanese manufacturers like Toyota and Datsun. These cars were often better built, more reliable, and more fuel efficient. The Volkswagen Beetle, for example, was much more established in the budget market and had a reputation for durability, something the Maverick couldn't match. Even among American-made cars, the Maverick faced stiff competition. The Chevrolet Nova, for instance, offered a better balance of affordability, build quality, and performance. Ford's own Pinto, introduced a few years later, would also overshadow the Maverick in the compact market. Despite the Pinto's own set of issues, the Maverick was known for having frequent mechanical problems. Its transmission, especially when paired with the weak inline-six engines, often suffered from reliability issues, and many owners reported problems with the carburetors and ignition systems. These issues made the Maverick a car that frequently needed repairs, diminishing its value as a budget-friendly option. The Maverick was also prone to rust, especially in regions with harsh winters. Ford didn't apply sufficient rust protection during the manufacturing process, leading to early corrosion, particularly around the wheel wells, underbody, and doors. This significantly shortened the lifespan of many Mavericks. The Maverick's suspension system was basic, and didn't provide much in the way of comfort or handling. The car felt bouncy and rough over uneven roads, and its handling was lackluster, especially when compared to more refined foreign competitors. The car was designed for simple, everyday use, but even in that context, it fell short in providing a comfortable driving experience. Although the Maverick was marketed as a compact car, the interior felt especially tight, even for its class. The rear seats were small, and legroom was minimal, making it uncomfortable for passengers, especially on longer trips. The lack of comfort features added to the sense that the car was built to a budget, with little consideration for the driver's or passenger's experience. The 1969 Ford Maverick was intended to be a budget-friendly compact car for the masses, but it ultimately suffered from a range of issues that kept it from being competitive. Its weak engine lineup, cheap materials, and uninspired design made it an underwhelming choice in a market full of better-built and more efficient alternatives. While it was affordable, the compromises in quality and performance meant it didn't live up to the expectations of buyers looking for reliability and value. Number 4, the 1966 Plymouth Belvedere was part of Plymouth's intermediate lineup, positioned between full-size and compact cars. While it played a role in the growing muscle car scene, especially with higher performance trims, the base models like the Belvedere 3 and 2 were underwhelming in terms of design and performance, which left them overshadowed by more iconic cars of the era. The 1966 Belvedere suffered from a lack of distinctive design elements. Compared to other cars of the mid-1960s, it was boxy and conservative, with little in the way of visual flair. The car's styling was straightforward to the point of being dull, especially when compared to rivals like the Pontiac GTO, Chevrolet Chevelle, or even Plymouth's own Barracuda and GTX models. In a decade where bold, aggressive styling was becoming increasingly popular, particularly in the muscle car segment, the Belvedere's look seemed more suited to an earlier time. It lacked the powerful and muscular appearance that buyers were gravitating towards, making it easy to overlook on the road. While performance models like the Belvedere GTX packed the famous 426 Hemi engine, the base models were saddled with much more modest options. The standard engine was a 225 cubic inch slant 6, which produced around 145 horsepower, hardly competitive in an era defined by power and speed. Optional V8 engines like the 273 cubic inch and 318 cubic inch V8s offered slightly better performance, but they were still far from thrilling. With its modest power and lack of handling prowess, the base Belvedere provided a driving experience that could best be described as adequate. It wasn't particularly fast, responsive, or engaging, which limited its appeal at a time when performance and excitement were becoming key selling points in the automotive world. Even within Plymouth's own lineup, the Belvedere faced stiff competition. The more muscular Belvedere GTX and Roadrunner, introduced in 1967, quickly became favorites for performance enthusiasts, leaving the standard Belvedere models looking pedestrian by comparison. Buyers who wanted a Plymouth with real power and personality were more likely to choose these models over the basic Belvedere. Rivals from other manufacturers offered more exciting cars in the same price range. Cars like the Chevrolet Chevelle, Ford Fairlane, and Pontiac Le Mans all provided more style and better performance options, making it harder for the Belvedere to stand out in the crowded midsize market. While the automotive industry was rapidly innovating in the mid-1960s with new technologies and daring designs, the Belvedere remained relatively conservative. It didn't introduce any groundbreaking features or advancements, which made it feel dated even as it was introduced. In contrast, other manufacturers were experimenting with new suspension systems, disc brakes, and performance packages that attracted more attention. The interior of the Belvedere was functional but uninspired. The materials used were standard for the time, but lacked the premium feel that some of its competitors offered. The design of the dashboard and seating was simple and utilitarian, with few luxury touches, which limited its appeal to those looking for a more stylish or comfortable ride. The muscle car era was defined by aggressive styling, high performance, and a sense of rebellion. While high-performance versions of the Belvedere, like the GTX, contributed to this culture, the standard Belvedere models did not. They were more aligned with the needs of everyday drivers rather than performance enthusiasts, which made them less exciting compared to more iconic muscle cars of the time. The Belvedere had the potential to be more of a player in the muscle car scene, but was let down by its conservative approach. Plymouth would later make a bigger impact with models like the Roadrunner, but in 1966, the Belvedere didn't have the right mix of performance and style to capture the hearts of muscle car fans. For buyers seeking a no-nonsense affordable car, the Belvedere was a solid choice. It provided decent reliability and functionality at a reasonable price. The Belvedere served as a good base for enthusiasts who wanted to modify and improve their cars. Many owners would later upgrade their engines or add performance parts to transform their cars into something more exciting. Despite its shortcomings, the Belvedere offered decent interior space for a mid-size car, which made it practical for families or those who needed a larger vehicle. The 1966 Plymouth Belvedere was an example of a car that met the needs of basic transportation, but failed to stand out in a market that was quickly evolving toward more exciting, stylish, and performance-oriented vehicles. In a decade that celebrated power and design, the Belvedere remained conservative and forgettable, making it less appealing in an era of bold muscle cars and innovative sedans. The 1963 Rambler Classic was a mid-size car produced by American Motors Corporation, AMC. While it aimed to offer practicality and value, it faced several issues that limited its appeal and competitiveness in a market filled with more exciting and stylish options. The Rambler Classic had a design that was functional but far from exciting. Its exterior was straightforward and lacked the boldness or flair seen in other cars of the era. The car's appearance was plain, with little in the way of distinctive features or modern styling cues, making it visually unappealing compared to its more stylish competitors. Inside, the Rambler Classic continued the theme of plainness. The interior was functional but lacked refinement or luxury. It used inexpensive materials and had a design that focused more on cost-cutting than on providing a comfortable or aesthetically pleasing driving experience. The Rambler Classic was offered with a range of engines that, while reliable, were not particularly powerful or exciting. The base engine was a 196 cubic inch inline-six, which produced around 127 horsepower. While adequate for everyday driving, it didn't offer the performance thrills that many other cars in its class provided. Higher trims had optional V8 engines, but even these options were underwhelming compared to the performance offered by some of the era's more aggressive competitors. The car's handling and ride quality were decent, but didn't stand out. It was designed to be a practical vehicle rather than a performance-oriented one, which resulted in a driving experience that was unremarkable and lacked any excitement or engagement. In the early 1960s, the automotive market was becoming increasingly competitive with the rise of stylish and high-performance models. The Rambler Classic struggled to make an impression against competitors like the Chevrolet Chevelle, Ford Fairlane, and Pontiac Tempest, which offered more exciting designs and better performance. The Classic's lack of distinctive features and performance options made it easy to overlook. By the early 1960s, car buyers were looking for vehicles with more modern and innovative designs. The Rambler Classic's design, while functional, was seen as dated and not as forward-thinking as some of the newer models offered by competitors. The Rambler Classic was marketed as a practical and budget-friendly option, but its plain design and lack of performance options made it less appealing to buyers who were interested in cars that offered a blend of style, excitement, and practicality. It appealed mainly to those who prioritized affordability and reliability over performance and aesthetics. The Rambler Classic did not attract car enthusiasts or those looking for a performance-oriented vehicle. Its focus on being a reliable, no-frills car meant it lacked the qualities that could have made it a favorite among more passionate drivers. While generally reliable, the engines available in the Rambler Classic were not particularly strong or efficient. The six-cylinder engines were criticized for their lack of power, and even the optional V8s, while more powerful, did not match the performance levels of competing models. Although not notorious for major mechanical problems, the Rambler Classic faced some issues with engine and transmission reliability over time. These issues, while not severe, could impact the car's overall performance and owner satisfaction. The materials used in the interior were functional, but not particularly durable or luxurious. Over time, the upholstery and trim could wear out quickly, detracting from the car's long-term appeal and comfort. The Rambler Classic came with minimal features, focusing more on cost savings than on providing additional comforts or conveniences. This made it less appealing to buyers who were looking for a more well-equipped vehicle, affordable, reliable, and easy to maintain. Uninspired design, dull performance, and lack of distinctive features. The 1963 Rambler Classic aimed to provide a no-frills, budget-friendly option in the midsize car market, but its plain design, average performance, and lack of excitement made it struggle to stand out. In an era where style and performance were becoming increasingly important to buyers, the Rambler Classic's conservative approach failed to capture the interest of those looking for something more engaging and distinctive. Number 2. The 1969 AMC Javelin was part of AMC's entry into the pony car market, designed to compete with popular models like the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro. While the high-performance versions of the Javelin, such as those equipped with the 390 V8 engine, garnered attention, the base model Javelin had several shortcomings that limited its appeal. The base model Javelin was equipped with a 232 cubic inch inline-six engine, producing around 135 horsepower. This engine, while adequate for everyday driving, was far from thrilling compared to the high-output engines found in competitors. Even the optional V8s, such as the 290 cubic inch, did not offer the same performance levels as the Mustang's 302 V8 or the Camaro's 327 V8. With the base engine, the Javelin struggled to provide the kind of quick acceleration and performance that buyers were seeking in the pony car segment. It was more focused on economy and reliability rather than the sporty driving experience that defined the genre. The base model Javelin did not come with the aggressive styling or sporty enhancements that were available on the higher trims. Its exterior design was relatively plain compared to the more striking and aggressive looks of its competitors. The styling was functional but did not stand out in a segment where visual appeal was a significant selling point. While the high-performance versions of the Javelin featured some distinctive design elements, the base model lacked these features. It had a more subdued look, which made it less visually exciting compared to the flashier Mustangs and Camaros of the era. The Mustang and Camaro, among others, offered a range of engines and performance options that catered to enthusiasts looking for both style and power. The base Javelin's performance and design did not measure up to these rivals, making it a less attractive choice for buyers interested in a pony car with more flair and power. AMC was trying to establish itself in a competitive market dominated by established players. While the Javelin had some appeal, the base model struggled to make a significant impact against the well-established and more powerful options from Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac. The base model Javelin's interior was functional, but lacked the sportier touches and premium materials found in higher trims and competitors. It had a basic dashboard layout and standard seating, which did not contribute to a particularly engaging or luxurious driving experience. The base Javelin came with minimal features, focusing more on cost savings rather than providing additional comforts or sporty enhancements. This made it less appealing to buyers who were looking for a more well-rounded or performance-oriented vehicle. While AMC offered more powerful engine options in the higher trims, such as the Javelin SST or the Javelin AMX, the base model did not have the same level of performance upgrades. Buyers looking for a more exciting driving experience had to opt for the more expensive versions of the Javelin, leaving the base model as a bland alternative. The base Javelin was more affordable compared to the higher performance versions and competitors' models, making it a practical option for those on a tighter budget. Like many AMC models, the base Javelin was generally reliable and easy to maintain, providing a dependable daily driver experience. Underwhelming performance, plain styling, and limited appeal compared to rivals. The 1969 AMC Javelin base model aimed to offer a budget-friendly entry into the pony car market, but fell short in terms of performance and excitement. Its lackluster engine, plain design, and limited features made it a less appealing choice compared to more dynamic and stylish competitors like the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro. While it provided practicality and affordability, it lacked the standout qualities that made the Javelin a more memorable or competitive option in the pony car segment. The 1960 Studebaker Lark was introduced as a compact car aimed at providing economical transportation during a time when many consumers were looking for smaller, more affordable vehicles. Despite its practical intentions, the Lark faced several issues that limited its appeal and effectiveness in a competitive market. The Lark's design was boxy and utilitarian, lacking the flair and modernity seen in other cars of the era. While compact and practical, its design did not capture the excitement or innovation that characterized many of the more popular vehicles of the time. The straight lines and sharp angles contributed to a look that was seen as outdated and unappealing, especially compared to more stylish competitors. In an era where car buyers were increasingly drawn to more dynamic and visually interesting designs, the Lark's conservative appearance failed to stand out. It looked plain and unremarkable, which made it less desirable to those looking for a car that made a visual statement. The Lark came with a range of engine options, including a base 170 cubic inch inline-six producing around 90 horsepower, which was modest and provided only adequate performance. Even with optional upgrades, the performance remained lackluster compared to other compact and economy cars of the time. The lack of a more powerful engine option limited its appeal to those seeking a more spirited driving experience. The combination of a weak engine and basic suspension meant that the Lark did not offer an engaging or exciting driving experience. Its performance was adequate for basic transportation, but fell short of providing any real driving pleasure or excitement. The Lark faced issues with reliability, which impacted its overall appeal. Reports of mechanical problems and frequent repairs undermined its reputation for dependability. As a result, owners often experienced more maintenance issues than expected, which detracted from the car's practicality and value. The build quality of the Lark was sometimes questioned, with reports of issues such as rust and wear over time. This contributed to a perception of the Lark as a less durable and reliable vehicle compared to its competitors. During a period when cars were becoming more stylish and performance-oriented, the Lark's lack of excitement both in design and performance made it less appealing. Buyers looking for a compact car were often drawn to models that offered better styling, performance, or features. The Lark competed against a range of more exciting and well-regarded compact cars, such as the Volkswagen Beetle and the American-made Chevrolet Corvair. These competitors offered better styling, more engaging driving experiences, and greater reliability, which made the Lark less attractive by comparison. The Lark's production faced challenges due to the economic difficulties experienced by Studebaker. The company struggled with financial instability during this period, which impacted the quality and development of their vehicles. The Lark was affected by these issues, leading to cost-cutting measures that further compromised its appeal and reliability. The Lark was indeed economical, both in terms of purchase price and fuel efficiency. It was designed to be an affordable option for budget-conscious buyers, which was one of its key strengths. Its small size made it suitable for urban environments and easy to park, which was an advantage for city drivers. Boxy design, weak performance, reliability issues, and limited appeal. The 1960s Studebaker Lark aimed to be a practical and affordable compact car, but struggled with several significant drawbacks. Its uninspired design, weak performance, and reliability issues made it less competitive in an era when buyers were looking for more exciting and dependable vehicles. While it offered economical benefits and practical size, it fell short in terms of style and performance, which ultimately limited its appeal in the crowded automotive market of the 1960s.